Hello, I'm Sarah here with Austin, and we're from City of Tucson Environmental Services.
Hey everyone!
We're here to talk about your habits related to trash and recycling. How many of you throw things in the trash each day? Good. How many of you recycle things? Great.
Awesome. So first, we want you to know that the City of Tucson is serious about following the guidelines for social distancing. So you might think Sarah and I are close together. We're actually far apart in separate locations. We hope you're staying safe at home and remembering to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Try singing happy birthday to yourself 2 times while you're washing up. We know you miss being at school and we miss hanging out with you. So let's spend some time together and learn about recycling. Back to you, Sarah.
Let's get back to some trash talk. Before you even say it, I know. Trash and recycling presentation? Really? Trust me, we're going to make this the best hour of trash talk you've ever heard. Instead of using a boring PowerPoint, we're going to learn about recycling with some popular smartphone apps. Do you recognize our beautiful city of Tucson in the background? The weather has been absolutely beautiful. Well, maybe a little hot lately, so I hope you have been able to get outside to hike or ride your bike safely with your family. Let's open up the Do More Blue app to start with some basics about recycling. In Tucson, your garbage is thrown away in a green bin, like you see in the picture. But many of you can recycle at home in a blue bin, like this one here, called a blue barrel. If you live in an apartment complex, you might have a large blue dumpster, or you might need to go to a neighborhood recycling center with some really large blue dumpsters. Are there any other options, Austin?
Absolutely, Sarah. So you might be out at a store or at a park, and they might have their own kind of recycling bins, like these ones. But what goes into those bins? Do you know, Sarah?
No matter what your bin looks like, here in Tucson, we do more blue with single stream recycling. What does that mean? Austin, can you explain?
Yeah, so that means all of our paper, glass, metal, and plastic recyclables all can go together mixed in the same bin. So when I was younger, we had to separate everything into different bins, and it's really nice to not have to do that now. So every time you recycle, you are doing more blue. Sarah, do you do more blue?
You bet I do. In Tucson, our recycling barrels are blue. So when you put more items into our blue barrels, we are doing more blue. But you guys already know this. You know about recycling. You've been hearing about it for your whole life, right? Let's do a quick review about what can be recycled in Tucson. Notebook paper. Can that be recycled? Thumbs up or down? Looks like Austin has his thumb up. Tell us more, Austin.
Yes, notebook paper can be recycled. And in fact, 50% of a school's waste is paper, so it needs to be recycled. We can also recycle newspaper, cardboard, paperboard, that's that thin cardboard that cereal boxes are made of, and we can recycle magazines. Are there any other paper products we can recycle, Sarah?
You bet. Did you know you can recycle milk and juice cartons? Be sure to empty and rinse them out first, but don't use a lot of water. When you put items in your blue barrel, they need to be empty, clean, and dry. Austin, are any types of paper not recyclable in Tucson?
Oh yeah, so we don't recycle paper towels, napkins, tissues, and tissue paper. Those types of paper are too dirty and usually not high quality enough to be recycled. Also, we can't recycle paper that's metallic, like certain kinds of gift wrap. And how many of you like takeout pizza? Yeah, me too. Sarah, do you like pizza?
I sure do. But if the cardboard box is greasy or cheesy, you can't recycle it. Sometimes just the bottom of the box is dirty and the top is clean. So I like to rip the box apart, toss the dirty part into the trash, and recycle the clean part. But you guys know this already, right? Okay, next item. How about a glass jar? Thumbs up or down? Ooh, Austin is showing thumbs up again.
So yes, this glass jar, recycle it. Matter of fact, all glass food and beverage containers can be recycled. As long as you do what? Right, empty, rinse, and then let them dry. Because everything needs to be empty, clean, and dry. Don't recycle any other kinds of glass though, like mirrors, windows, or dishware. Show us another one, Sarah.
Time for a tough one. How about a soda can? Thumbs up or down? Another thumbs up for Austin.
That's right, recycle it. We can recycle all aluminum cans, as well as steel and tin ones like soup and tuna cans. Again, they should be rinsed out as needed, so they're empty, clean, and dry when you put them in your blue barrel. Are there any other products made of aluminum that can be recycled? Do you know, Sarah?
There are. You can recycle aluminum pie tins as well as aerosol cans that contain something that you can eat or put on your body, like shaving cream, spray sunscreen, and spray cooking oil. But the cans must be completely empty. Also, no scrap metal or foil-lined containers like Pringles can go in the blue barrel. Okay, last one. How about a plastic water bottle? Wow! 4 thumbs up in a row for Austin.
That's right, recycle this one. The kinds of plastic that are easiest to recycle are bottles and jugs, so water, soda bottles, milk and juice containers, even laundry detergent jugs. All should go in your blue barrel. And you can recycle lots of other kinds of plastic as well, like butter tubs, yogurt cups, berry containers. But guess what you have to do before you can recycle them? Do you know? Sarah?
Well, we need to rinse as needed so the containers are empty, clean, and dry. We don't want your leftover yogurt, soda, and milk contaminating all of the recyclables. Yuck! Can you think of something made of plastic that we can never recycle in our blue barrels here in Tucson? Great. Sounds like some of you already know. Plastic bags. They can damage the recycling machines. Anything else we cannot recycle, Austin?
Totally. Here in Tucson, we cannot recycle styrofoam. Also, please no plastic straws or toothpaste tubes. Well, that about sums up what we can and can't put into our blue barrels here in Tucson. And remember, it is so important to recycle right, because we want to make sure the right items get into the blue barrels, and that way we prevent contamination. You all already know this though, right? Yeah, so you've probably heard it all your life, and you know you're supposed to recycle. Don't you agree, Sarah?
I do. So, if you all know this already, what's the big deal? Why are we even here today? Oops, I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb.
Sarah, we're in the middle of a presentation.
Sorry about that. My friend Isabella is always texting me memes. But Morpheus is right. Over 50% of garbage that we send to the landfill is actually recyclable. Wow! Let's explore why that is. But first, if you're just joining in, I'm Sarah from City of Tucson Environmental Services. I'm here with my coworker Austin, and we're presenting Talking Trash in Tucson. Because you're not in school, we're joining you safely at home. We're so glad you're learning about recycling with us today. Who here has ever not recycled something that is recyclable? Okay, who here has ever thrown away a soda can or a piece of paper? How about you, Austin? I think I see you raising your hand.
Yeah, well, let me tell you the story. Before we all had to stay home because of social distancing, I was doing some shopping on 4th Avenue. And I hate to admit it, but I forgot to bring my reusable water bottle. So I was really thirsty, and I had to buy a bottle of water. Well, when I finished it, I couldn't find a recycling bin anywhere. So I had to throw it in a garbage can. Hope you're not mad at me, Sarah.
Of course not. I appreciate your honesty, Austin. Okay, now it's your turn, friends. When didn't you recycle? Think of a time when you didn't recycle something that was recyclable.
So if you have a paper and pencil handy, you can go ahead and write it down, or just go ahead and think about it in your head. So for my example, I would write 4th Avenue plastic water bottle, okay? So where were you, and what was that thing you didn't recycle? It's okay, be honest.
Wow, there are a lot of times when you didn't recycle when you could have. You made that choice. One that I often hear from students at schools is, where was I? Soccer practice. What didn't I recycle? My empty plastic Gatorade bottle. What about you, Austin?
Well, I hear this one a lot, where a student was at the Tucson Mall and they didn't recycle their soda can. Also, another common one is someone picnicking in Sabino Canyon and they didn't recycle their paper lunch bag. So to me, it sounds like we have a lot of times where we haven't recycled, Sarah.
Right. So let's learn more about the choices you make, whether you're at home, school, sports, the mall, the movies, wherever you go. What do you choose to do with your garbage? And then what happens to it? So we just talked about that time when you didn't recycle. Well, why didn't you recycle? Austin, what's your excuse?
Well, that time that I was shopping on 4th Avenue, I didn't recycle because there were no recycling bins nearby. And I was honestly too lazy to find one. So can you think about that time you didn't recycle, right? And you can write down why it was you didn't recycle. Or just think about it. Sarah, why do you think some of our friends who are watching don't recycle?
Well, kids at school often tell me all kinds of excuses for why they didn't recycle. Maybe you didn't recycle because it was inconvenient or you were lazy. The bin was too far away. Or you didn't recycle because there was no recycling bin available. Well, guess what? You can take it home and recycle it later. Do you agree, Austin?
Absolutely. There are times when most of us haven't recycled when we could have. And we all have one or excuse or another for why we did that. You look kind of puzzled, Sarah.
Well, are recycling excuses okay? I don't think so. If you're just joining in, I'm Sarah from City of Tucson Environmental Services. I'm here with my coworker, Austin, and we're presenting Talking Trash in Tucson. Because you're not in school, we're joining you safely at home. We are so glad you're learning about recycling with us today. Let's continue by talking about the importance of recycling. First, do you remember what Morpheus taught us a little while ago when I accidentally forgot to turn off my phone? At least 50% of what ends up at the landfill doesn't belong there. Wow, that's a lot. How can that be, Austin?
Well, for example, Sarah, each American throws away about 100 plastic water bottles a year. And all of those could have been recycled. And again, that's just water bottles. Think about how many other recyclable items end up in the trash. But Sarah, why do we care?
Well, let's open Reminders and Instagram to learn more. So why is it important to recycle? By recycling, we save space in the Los Rios landfill. Can you explain, Austin?
Totally. So our landfill in Tucson is filling up because we are adding more and more garbage every day. Do you know how long it will be till our current landfill is filled up? Sarah, do you?
Well, less than 60 years. Once our landfill is filled up, we'll have to build a new one. What's another reason why it's important to recycle? Austin, do you have one?
I sure do, Sarah. So recycling helps save natural resources. First, what are natural resources? Do you know? Sarah, how about you?
Natural resources are the raw materials we use to make everything we use in our lives. For example, we need trees to make paper, sand to make glass, iron ore to make metals, and petroleum to make plastics. But how does recycling help to save our natural resources? Do you have any examples, all of you students at home? What about you, Austin?
So here's a good example. Suppose I recycle this plastic water bottle. The recycled plastic can then be melted down and turned into new things, like this Frisbee, or even these pens, right? And so we didn't need to use any petroleum to make these products. We were able to save the non-renewable resource of petroleum by using this recycled plastic. Make sense, Sarah?
Definitely. Here's another example. So, I see you have an aluminum soda can, Austin. If you recycle aluminum cans, the metal is melted down and reformed into new metal products like toys, car parts, even new cans. Do you know that aluminum can be recycled indefinitely? Do you know that you can recycle aluminum over and over again without ever losing its quality? I love that. Recycle. Isn't that cool, Austin?
That's amazing, Sarah. So by recycling aluminum cans, we help save that non-renewable resource of aluminum ore. Another fun fact, glass can also be recycled indefinitely. How great is that, Sarah?
Wow. Okay, why else is recycling important? Recycling reduces pollution. With less manufacturing and mining of natural resources, there's less pollution. And the same thing is true for energy use. We use less energy when we use recycled materials. What are some other benefits of recycling, Austin?
Well, we can save money because it costs less to use recycled materials than natural ones. And finally, we know it's the right thing to do, right? So it's our responsibility to do more blue and recycle right. Don't you agree, Sarah?
You bet. Do more blue every day. So a lot of what ended up in the landfill didn't need to be there. If only we all made different choices. Okay, here in Tucson, all of our trash goes to the Los Rios landfill. What happens to things at the landfill? That's right. Items are buried and remain there for hundreds to thousands of years or more. Essentially, once an item ends up at the landfill, it can never have any use again. It's a dead end, Austin.
Oh no, what a waste. That's no good. Well, we've been telling you all morning about the Los Rios landfill, so let's go ahead and pull it up on Google Earth. Right, so now let's search for the Los Rios landfill.
Wow, look at that thing. You wouldn't know it at this distance, but it's over 350 acres. That's about 270 football fields. For reference, here's one football field. Our landfill is really big. You don't really get the full picture from way back here. Let's see if we can get a closer view. Tell us more about the Los Rios landfill, Austin.
Well, each day, over 700 garbage truck loads are dumped at the Los Rios landfill. And then large bulldozers drive back and forth over the garbage, compacting it. And eventually it's covered with soil and more garbage is piled on top. So think about this. Everything you have ever thrown away at home, school, the mall, a park, the movies, ends up in a landfill. Everything.
Everything?
Yes, everything, Sarah. What do you think about that?
Let's do a little activity. I'm going to ask you a have you ever question, and you're going to stand up if you can answer yes to the question. You can stand up in front of your computer or your tablet at home, no problem. Ready? Austin, are you ready to play too?
You know it.
Okay. Have you ever thrown away a cardboard box that could have been recycled? Admit it. Stand up. Why didn't you recycle your cardboard box?
Well, honestly, Sarah, I'm just getting so many online deliveries right now, and I'm just getting lazier and lazier. And the garbage can was a lot closer, so I tossed it in.
Thanks for being honest. Kids often tell me they were lazy, or they didn't know where the recycling bin was, or they didn't realize the box could be recycled. Austin, go ahead and toss that box into the trash can. If you're standing at home, you can pretend to toss it into a trash can as well.
Oh no, that means it could have been my cardboard box at the landfill. But I guess it could have also been one of you out there at home who threw it away. All right, let's all sit back down.
Let's try another one. Have you ever thrown away a plastic bag that could have been recycled? Stand up out there. Why didn't you recycle your plastic bag? Thanks for being honest. Why didn't you recycle the plastic bag, Austin?
Well, it was easier to throw away, and I just wasn't really thinking about it.
Kids often tell me the same thing. They weren't thinking. It was just easier to use the trash can, or they forgot. Austin, go ahead and toss that bag into the trash can. Kids at home who are standing, pretend to do it as well.
Oh man, but Sarah, that means it could have been my plastic bag in the landfill. Or it could have been someone of you at home. That could have been you who threw it away. All right, let's sit back down.
Last one. Have you ever thrown away a plastic bottle that could have been recycled? Come on, admit it, stand up. Why didn't you recycle your plastic bottle?
Well, like I said, Sarah,
Go ahead, Austin.
Well, like I said, Sarah, there was no recycling bins on 4th Ave while I was out shopping.
I often hear that from kids at schools as well. Go ahead and toss that bottle into the trash can, Austin, and standing kids at home.
Well, yikes, my trash can is now full, and it looks like that could be my bottle at the landfill. Or was it you? All right, everyone, let's sit back down. Okay, Sarah, I get it now. If one piece of trash is thrown out by one person, imagine how much there would be from everyone in our class, or at school, or in our neighborhood, or all of Tucson. It adds up so quick. So for just one item like a plastic bottle, somebody threw that away. Who was that somebody?
That's right, Austin. It could have been your friends, your parents, your siblings, your teacher. It could have been you, or you, or you, even you, Austin.
I know, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? All of us at one time or another have put something recyclable in the trash. And so all of us are responsible. But it seems like a lot of our reasons for not recycling could be overcome without too much effort or difficulty. So what can we do, Sarah?
Well, we've been talking about recycling, but there's really more to it than that. What can you do before you even recycle? Let's open up notes to figure that out. You all know the 3 R's, right? What are they, Austin?
Reduce, reuse, and recycle. So what does reduce mean? Exactly, to make less of something. So for our discussion, to reduce the amount of garbage we produce, right? We can use less of a material or a product to begin with. Do you think we create a lot of waste? What about you, Sarah?
Yes. Here in the US, each of us produces about 4.5 pounds of waste a day. That's the same amount of weight as the big bag of trash that Austin is holding. Yes. If everyone on the planet consumed things the way we do here in the United States, we would need the equivalent of 5 planet Earths to meet our needs. So let's reduce our waste. What's next, Austin?
Reuse. So what does that mean? Instead of throwing something out, we can use it again, right? Often we get things and we use them just once and then we throw them away. Well, let's find some other ways that we can use them again, right? So what's that last one, Sarah?
We already know that recycle means to make something new. So do you know that our 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle, aren't just randomly in that order? First, we want to reduce, make less waste in the first place. Then we can reuse things over and over. And then we can recycle things and make them into new things. Let's open up Vimeo. And Austin, can you tell us more about recycling in Tucson?
Totally. So remember, in Tucson, we have single stream recycling. So all the recyclables are mixed together in our blue barrel. When your blue barrel is picked up by the recycling truck, it doesn't go to the landfill. It goes to the materials recovery facility, more easily called the MRF. After the truck empties its contents onto the tipping floor, tractors scoop it up and load it onto conveyor belts to take it inside the MRF facility to begin the sorting. What do you think about that, Sarah?
Wow, there are so many people working at the MRF, sorting materials by hand along with a variety of machinery and equipment. As materials are continually separated from each other by type, they move along a series of conveyor belts until the types of recyclables are all sorted. Just look at the variety of sorting processes in action. That's amazing. After being sorted, the materials are collected in large bales, which are picked up by trucks and then shipped all over the country and world to be manufactured into new things.
Cool. Also, remember, it's so important to clean items before you toss them in the recycling bin. Because when items are contaminated, they can ruin other recyclables too, right? So if you recycle items that don't belong in the MRF, it might be hazardous for the workers, and we want to keep them safe. So let's do our part to help keep our MRF clean and safe. Unfortunately, though, some products can't be recycled. So what do we do when we're done with them? What should we do, Sarah?
Well, for some products, you still don't have to throw them away. You have other choices. You can divert them from the waste stream. This is called waste diversion. Let's look at some waste diversion options that help us reduce our waste. On Twitter. How many of you use reusable water bottles? Great. How about you, Austin?
I've got mine here with me. I think everyone should use a reusable water bottle instead of a disposable plastic one. They're easy to refill at home from your sink or fridge. And when you're at school, are there water fountains? Right, so you can totally refill and reuse the same bottle every day at school instead of buying and throwing away a disposable one, which is going to end up at the landfill. What else has a waste diversion option?
Do any of you use reusable bags instead of disposable plastic and paper bags? That's great to hear. Why use them once and throw them away? Austin, what do you use at the grocery store?
Well, I always bring my reusable bags with me when I shop. However, right now, most stores are only allowing their own disposable bags to help prevent the spread of the coronavirus. So if you do have plastic bags at home, first, you should try and find a way to use them, like as a trash bag in your bathroom, or maybe to pick up after your dog. But empty and clean bags can be recycled in bins in many stores in Tucson. But remember, not in your blue barrel. And not just grocery bags can be recycled. You can include bread bags, Ziploc bags, newspaper bags, even the wrapping around toilet paper or paper towels. Have you ever recycled these, Sarah?
Yes. I save up my plastic bags at home and then bring them to the grocery store when I go shopping. There's usually a special bin near the front of the store. Plastic bags can never go in your blue barrels. How about other materials that can be diverted from the landfill? Do you know any, Austin?
Totally. You can take many types of e-waste, like old phones, computers, cords, and rechargeable batteries to certain stores, and they'll be recycled. And then they don't go to the landfill. Also, remember, just because it's a new model of phone, it doesn't mean you need to buy it, right? As long as your old phone is still working just fine. So try and make your purchases have a long life, or if you do get a new phone and your old one still works, give it to someone else who can use it. That is reuse in action. Sarah, any other ideas for waste diversion?
Definitely. Donate your gently used clothing to a charity or a younger sibling, or even sell it at a thrift store. I think Austin has one more he wants to share with us.
Right. So now I've got a secret to tell y'all. If there is no recycling bin where we are, you can always take that item home and recycle it later. So when I was on 4th Ave, if I had saved that bottle, I could have recycled it instead of throwing it in the trash. Isn't that easy, Sarah?
Yes. So if you're at the park or at soccer practice or at school and you can't find a recycling bin, you can bring recyclable items home to recycle. If you're just joining in, I'm Sarah from City of Tucson Environmental Services. I'm here with my coworker, Austin, and we're presenting Talking Trash in Tucson. Because you're not in school, we're joining you safely at home. We're so glad you're learning about recycling with us today. So, you know why it's important to recycle, and you know what to recycle. What's next? Well, now you need to do it. No more excuses, recycle it. Each of you can make a difference.
So, what are you gonna do? Think of one simple thing you can do. Write it on a piece of paper, just think about it in your head. For instance, for me, when no recycling bins are available, I'm gonna take those plastic bottles home and recycle them there. So think of one action you can do differently. Awesome. Some ideas from kids we often hear are, I'm gonna go buy a reusable water bottle. I think that's a great idea. This is an awesome way to reduce waste and reuse over and over and over again. Another one that I hear from kids is, I'm gonna go home and talk to my parents about how we can recycle right. That way our blue barrel isn't contaminated. That is a great plan, right? Because we wanna make sure that the right items are in our blue barrel so they can be recycled. And remember, they need to be clean, empty, and dry. Sarah, what are some things you've heard from kids?
I will try to reduce my waste and reuse more things. Double thumbs up on that one. Always remember the 3 R's and that they're in an important order. And I have one more suggestion. I know you kids are spending a lot of time at home these days and are probably eating snacks in your bedroom. So when you're done, please don't leave your trash in your room. Take it back to the kitchen to dispose of properly in the trash or recycling bin. Austin, I hope you clean up after yourself at home.
Of course I do. And also, don't forget, when you're in the bathroom, you can easily take that little empty paper toilet tube to the recycling bin, because it shouldn't always be your parents' job. All right, back to you, Sarah.
Wow, great job, everyone. We covered a lot today. We discussed a lot of things, including what can and can't be recycled in Tucson. Natural resources, the 3 R's, the Rios Landfill, the MRF, and so much more.
We also talked about how you can take action and make a difference to do more blue. It's easy, so no more excuses, right? We'll just do it. And you can also talk with your family at home and get them to do more blue with you.
If you have recycling questions, talk with your parents or a trusted adult and contact City of Tucson Environmental Services by phone or on their website or Facebook page, and get the Recycle Coach app. You can also use the Recycle Coach app to remember what day you need to bring your blue barrel to the curb for pickup. City of Tucson trucks pick up recycling every other week instead of every week to help save money.
And remember, if in doubt, throw it out. You don't want to contaminate your recycling, and we also don't want to endanger the health and safety of the workers at the MRF. It's important to recycle right.
We had a lot of fun today, and we hope you did too. City of Tucson Environmental Services is proud to offer programs like this one to help educate kids about recycling and waste management in Tucson. Later this spring, we'll be doing Too Good to Throw Away for elementary students, so stay tuned. This Talking Trash in Tucson presentation is recorded, so you can watch it again later, and be sure to tell your friends about it so they can learn to do more blue every day.
So remember, it's always important to be safe from germs right now. So don't forget to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds every time. And while you're at home, enjoy the sunshine and get out for some exercise with your family.
Thanks again for talking trash in Tucson with us today. So long!
Bye-bye!
Do more blue!
And recycle right!